Hey guys, it's the MMA and political analyst. Gee, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. Donald Sterling? Man, these racist guys are like coming out of the woodwork these days, aren't they? Like, uh, didn't we didn't we decide that racism was like over? I thought we had like declared that a while ago, and that where everything's all happy and there's no more racism, stuff like that. But it turns out there's racist people all over the place. You had the guy who shot up the Jewish center a couple of days ago. Then, of course, you had Cliven Bundy. And now you got this guy, right? This Donald Sterling guy, who's an owner of an NBA team. Now granted, this is only three people, and it's not indicative of the culture as a whole, of course. But, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people are floating around like this. And we didn't even catch this guy until now. And I say catch him as if we're like the police or something like that. I mean, he pretty much caught himself. But, you can look the story up yourself. I'm sure you heard of it. I'm sure you heard the tapes by now. But basically this 80-year-old owner of the LA Clippers, one of the most horrible franchises in the NBA, but have turned it around recently in the last couple of years. But obviously he employs lots of black players and historically has. Turns out this guy is like a flaming racist. He like calls up is recorded in a conversation with his girlfriend, who is, by her own admission, half black or of mixed descent, supposedly, and basically goes on this long tirade about how he's so embarrassed of her because she's running around town taking pictures with black people, showing up to the games with black people, and posting it on social media, on her Instagram page. And he is just completely outraged by that. And he spends most of the phone call trying to convince her to stop doing that and giving her reasons why she said stop. Now, I'm going to get to her in a minute for recording it and releasing the phone calls. Obviously, you know, it's not exactly something that's going to have like is going to forge a nice relationship built on trust. Let's put it that way. But, we'll get to her in a minute. But for this guy, I mean, with the Cliven Bundy thing, it was kind of funny. Like, some old white guy living on a farm somewhere. It's like, whatever, dude. Who cares? Just kind of funny. But this guy is something else, man. There's something a little more sinister about this guy. I mean, this guy's been running around here all these years with his billions of dollars and just a closeted racist. And really not even closeted. Because it turns out this guy has had a history of this stuff. In 2009, he had to settle with the government, in which he did not have to technically admit any guilt or anything, but he did have to settle with the government for $2.79 million in housing discrimination fees. Right? Now, how do we know he was discriminating against blacks and Latinos? Well, let's listen to some of his statements, to some of the testimony that was given by one of his property managers. He's a real estate mogul. Well, I'll read this. That's because of all the blacks in this building. They smell. They aren't clean. Whoa. Is it one of those Mexicans that stink? Just evict the bitch. Whoa. Okay, he said that to one of his property managers. And in 1988, when they drafted Danny Manning, wow. Doesn't that make you feel old? Anyway, 1988, they drafted Danny Manning. And he said, quote, I just offered a lot of money to a young black kid. What's that mean? And if you listen to the phone call, I mean, it's just priceless gem after priceless gem, like stuff that's just like, dang, how could you? I mean, how does this guy running around town and not look himself in the mirror and be like, what I'm saying like doesn't make any sense? Which kind of goes to show you how dumb it is to be a racist. I mean, if you're like really like racist like this guy is, then you're an idiot. Then you're just dumb, and it's provable, right? I mean, like I said, he's dating someone who's half black. Meanwhile, he's married. He's married to someone else who's been married to for a long time, but he's had a history of just having these random girlfriends. And I guess apparently everybody sees that as okay. I guess, I mean, whatever works for him. I'm not hating. But he tells her things like, well, I don't mind if you like admire black people, because he was upset with her for taking pictures with Magic Johnson and some other famous people in LA. And he said, "Oh, look, you can admire them and you can appreciate them. I just want you to do it in private because I don't want my friends to see you on social media and then call me and make fun of me for it." Basically that's what he said. Oh, what? I mean, obviously, again, meanwhile, this guy owns a basketball team with all black players. Talking about, oh, don't enjoy and don't admire people in public. Do it behind the scenes. I don't want to see you with black people. If you don't want to be heard to be seen with black people, what about you? You employ them. You make money off them. What are you talking about? I mean, this is so dumb. And meanwhile, she's like half black. How dumb are you? And then when she mentions that, like he tells her, she tells him like, hey, you're like all your players are black, and he's like, yeah, I know. I give them food, I pay them money. Gee, thanks. Gee, thanks on behalf of the black community. I would like to thank you for paying basketball players to, I don't know, play basketball. God forbid you pay them to do a job. I mean, can I explain something to the people listening? If you have a job and your boss pays you, your boss isn't doing you any favors, okay? Because that's their job. They have to pay you. We don't have slavery anymore. So if you work, you get paid. And you don't need to thank your boss for paying you. You don't. Okay? And I don't think any of them players need to be groveling at your feet because you pay them. Okay? They have a collective bargaining agreement with the NBA, with the owners, so that they get paid a certain amount of money based on their performance or whatever, and you're just abiding by that agreement. That's not doing anybody any favors. They don't need to thank you, and you're not doing anything special. And it doesn't prove that you're not a racist. Okay? It doesn't prove anything. So I just had to explain that for maybe some people who are listening aren't tracking that, but yeah, that's how it works. If you pay somebody to do a job, you're not doing them any favors. Anyway, so he goes on and tells them tells his girlfriend, you should act more like a delicate white woman or Latina woman, because she's, like I said, she's of mixed race, and not be hanging around with all these black people. And it's scary, man. It's scary to think that, I mean, there's a lot of dudes running around like this. Maybe not to this extreme, but there's plenty of people who have that kind of like racist mindset, where they look at you and they just start making assumptions. And it's proven. It's proven out there, guys. They did a study a while back where they sent out like hundreds of these resumes, right, all over the country. And they had, all the resumes were identical, for the exception of the names. Some of the names were more traditionally white-sounding names, so, like Robert, Jim, James, whatever. And then more like traditionally black-sounding names, like Jamal or whatever, right? And in almost every case, way out of control higher percentage of the white-sounding names got called or got contacted for those resumes. Almost off the charts. They did a study where they had on Craigslist, where they were selling iPods and iPads and whatnot. And they had a hand showing the product. Right, just with a hand with showing the product, and they had the exact same product, exact same write-up, everything, except some had a white hand, some had a black hand. And again, way outrageously higher percentage of people called the sellers who were selling the product with the white hand. And that stuff has an effect, man. You wonder why black people are so lazy, they don't want to work. Well, it's kind of hard to get a job when nobody wants to hire you. Okay. Now look, this is a whole separate conversation, but it's scary, man. It's really to think that there's a lot of people running around this, and like this guy in positions of power. Okay, now in this case, he has to hire black people because it's basketball, so not exactly too many choices out there, but it's just crazy, man. This guy's running around all this time, and I guess we should have known. I guess we should have known, considering some of the behavior and some of the quotes that he's been quoted by saying, and some of the stories about this guy floating around that I've looked into recently. And what's interesting is that the NAACP down in LA was actually about to give this dude a Lifetime Achievement Award. In NAACP, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do not research these people before you start giving out awards. That's just a horrible look, man. A horrible look. I mean, it's hard for a lot of like white people to understand like, why do you guys still have the NAACP, man? Isn't everything okay now? And I have to explain to people, hey, look, well, it's not as okay as you might think, and it's a historical organization. They still fight for civil rights and to make sure everything's equal for everybody, blah blah blah. And I gotta make that speech to people every once in a while because they wonder why we still have organizations like the NAACP. You're not making my job easy with stuff like that, man. You're not making my job easy, guys. Come on. Seriously, get your stuff together. If you're gonna give out awards to people, how about you do some research before that? I mean, there's plenty of evidence that this guy's crazy, racist, and you just missed that opportunity, I guess. And just to touch real quick on the woman, dang, I didn't take her name down, but obviously, I mean, if you see a picture of her, she's a very, very beautiful woman. But obviously, I don't know her age, but I'm judging by her look, she's probably in like late 20s, early 30s, something like that. Dating an 80-some-year-old man who's married and has had a history of just random girlfriends throughout his marriage. Just open, just like they don't even care. Like, yeah, he's married, this is his wife, and then now he's got his little girlfriend, right? And you were dating this guy for all this time, and at no point until now at least, are you like, you know what, this guy's a racist dick. I'm done with him, right? I mean, you recorded that conversation on purpose with the intent of releasing it, I'm guessing, right? So it wasn't like this was the first time you mentioned anything like this, okay? You knew it and you stayed with him? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not rich or anything, so I don't know what it's like to have that much money. But is it really worth it? Wow, you're going to stay with that guy who's married? Like, I mean, you're like, obviously, young, beautiful woman. It's like, I mean, if you really, really, really want to date somebody who's rich, it's like you can go date a basketball player. I mean, they're not nearly as rich as this guy, but I mean, they make a few $1 million. You can be all right. Or, I mean, I don't know. Maybe try to make your own wealth. I don't know. Go be a model or go do something. Go to college. I don't know. Or just be a middle class, normal person like everybody else. But is the money really that worth it? You're gonna stay with this guy, you know? And then obviously she recorded the conversation and releases it to media. And there's another backstory behind that, some kind of lawsuit between her and the wife. I don't know, but it's just crazy, man. And it's just like I said, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary to think like who else is like that? Is your boss at your work like that? Maybe not to your face. You know what I mean? But is he like that, like behind the scenes when he's with his people? Who knows? But I don't know. Interesting story. Like I said, I really laughed at the Cliven Bundy thing. I really did. I thought that was hilarious. But I don't really find this one that funny. It's like I said, it's kind of scary. So hopefully we learn from this, and we got to nip this stuff in the bud before it comes out again, man. Because you got these rich guys who are just flaming racists in positions of power, having influence over people's lives, and you know they're going to be quick to discriminate you and prevent you from having a normal life like everybody else, just because of the color of your skin or your racial background or whatever, man. So why don't you think about that tonight when you go to sleep? This is Anthony, MMA political analyst. I'll talk to you.